Hey everyone, this is fine art photographer and Olympus educator Matt Suess coming to you from Bozeman, Montana, sporting my new, check this out, my OMD EM1X shirt here. Hey, this is exciting news because I get to share with you some really cool information from Olympus. There is a brand new lens that is being announced today on June 9th, 2021, and I've been shooting with it for a little while. Take a look at this guy. This is the brand new lens that is coming out from Olympus. Landscape lovers, you're gonna love this. This is the, I'm gonna read this to make sure I get the whole wording right here. It's the M.Zuiko Digital ED 8-25mm F4 Pro Lens. And like I said, landscape photographers, you're gonna love this. Number one, it's a pro lens. Number two, you can use screw-in filters on the front of this lens. Let's take a look at this guy here. This is the lens right here. And being able to have screw-in filters in the front, really, really nice and convenient. A little bit different than the 7-14mm lens, the F2.8 Pro lens, where it has that bulbous front on it and you have to use an adapter to get any regular, like square filters on it. This here, 72mm thread allows you to use any screw-in filters on it. It's a pro lens, so that means that it is dust proof, it is weather resistant, you can shoot out in the inclement weather. It has an IPX1 rating for water. Now this lens also can work as a sort of a pseudo macro lens too, kind of like a half macro, because it allows a 0.42x magnification on macro. So not a true one-to-one macro lens, but kind of like half of a macro lens. It allows you to get some really nice close-ups of flowers and things like that. And it does a really nice focusing distance of 9 inches away from your subject. And that is good throughout the entire zoom range from 8mm all the way up to 25mm. This is also nice and lightweight, weighs less than a pound. And let's go ahead and compare it to the 7-14 f2.8 lens. You can see the size difference right over here. So it's a little bit smaller than the 7-14. Now this lens operates a little bit differently than other Olympus zoom lenses. You start turning the zoom ring and then you feel a click, and that click is at 8mm. Between when it's closed and when you reach that 8mm, your camera can't see through it until you get to that 8mm stage, and you'll feel that click. You'll also obviously notice that the lens is extending during its zoom range. And then from 8 to 25mm is where you zoom through. Now, what's funny is when I first got this lens, I opened it up and I didn't even have it on my camera at all, and I'm just like, oh, okay, opened it up, and I'm like, well, hey, wait. I'm back at 8, how come the lens isn't going back down? So there is some resistance there. You just have to go through that resistance, keep on turning the zoom ring, and then the lens will completely compact in. Now, just like other Olympus lenses, it does have the manual clutch, so you just adjust the clutch to go from autofocus instantly to manual focus. And it also has a lens function button as well that you can program. Now, I'm not going to go into heavy detail on all the specs and everything. I mean, you guys can get that easily online. What you really want to know is, how does this lens perform out in the field, right? Well, come with me. We're going to go take a step outside, and I'm going to go put this to the test and use this with some filters and see what I can come up with for images. One great thing that I love about this brand new 8-25mm f4 Pro lens from Olympus is that it's Olympus's widest angle lens that allows filters. It has a screw thread in the front that's 72mm, and so you can screw on filters to the front of this lens. You can't do that with the 8mm fisheye. You can't do that with the 7-14 f2.8 without getting any third-party attachments that would allow filters on the front of it, because the lens is bulbous. There's no filter threads there. So for landscape work, this is fabulous, having this wide of a millimeter range, being able to screw on filters. Now right now I have a 10-stop solid neutral density filter. It's actually a 77mm thread. I have a step-down ring going from 77 to 72 so that this can fit right on the very front of the lens. And once that's on, I'm ready to now do some live comp photos and get some really cool cloud trails in the background behind this old house. I'm doing a live composition shot right here, and I'm just waiting for the sun. It's just about ready to come out of the clouds and light up this old house, which will give me some nice foreground light on it. Got some really nice trailing of the clouds with the live comp with this long exposure that's been going now for 2 minutes. So once I get a little bit of light on the foreground, this is going to look really cool. There we go. Now that sun is coming out, lighten up the foreground. Really nice. Perfect, just what I wanted. Now here's another situation where it is ideal to be able to put a filter on the front of your lens. Right here I got the house. Above the house is the sun, and the sun's behind some clouds. My sky is really bright, my foreground really dark. If I try and expose for the foreground to get detail into the house, I'm going to blow out the sky. If I try to have detail in the sky, my foreground's going to be too dark. So this is a split neutral density filter. This is a Format high-tech Firecrest 1.5 split neutral density filter. This is going to allow me to darken the sky while being able to allow detail in the foreground to appear. So I'm balancing my exposure. It's great. This has screw threads on it, so I'm able to screw that right to the front of this 8-25 F4 Pro and get the shot that I want. Now it's also good too that Olympus has amazing image stabilization, so I can go ahead and adjust the height of the filter while I'm holding this and get ready for a shot. And I'm actually going to switch this into handheld high res and get some really good shots of this. For this shot, we are out here in Yellowstone National Park, along the river and along the edge of a canyon. I have the 8-25mm F4 Pro lens hooked up to my EM1 Mark III. I'm doing live comp. I'm doing long exposures, and I have a 10-stop neutral density filter on the front of my lens to allow me to really get some really nice long exposures. I want to get some milkiness to the water. There's some puffy clouds up above. I want to get them streaking. And this is what I love about this 8-25. You know, I've been using this for a couple days now. Thank you, Olympus, for sending one out for me to try. And it's so awesome being able to photograph at such a wide millimeter and have screw-on filters. Let's go ahead and take a look at my setup here. So we can come on over to the front, and we can see right up on the front there is the solid neutral density filter on the front, screwed into the very front of the 8-25mm. Let's come back here. And we come back here and we can see the rapids. Now with this long exposure, this is going to come out really nice and milky. And we pan all the way up here and we can see the clouds that I was talking about. That's going to be giving some nice streaks. Let's go. Now this spot I just found here in Yellowstone, just a little bit further up the road. This is really cool. I'm up on a really nice overlook. I have a super S-curve in this river, really nice rapids. Still using the 8-25 F4 Pro with that 10-stop neutral density filter. This water is coming out super milky in a really nice S pattern. I even have some foreground elements in my shot that are in focus with this wide angle lens. I'm shooting it right at 8mm, and I got some clouds up above that are streaking across the sky. This shot I'm really excited about, and I can't wait to show you the finished version of it. Let's take a look and see what I'm seeing here. As you can see, I am really excited about this shot, so I can't wait to process this one. This might be one of the first ones I process when I get back home. All right, we are back in the studio here. I don't know if you could tell that I kind of like this lens. I am definitely going to be buying one for myself. I can see this being used in my landscape photography a lot. Now, I want to do some more testing too. I have to actually leave right now. I'm recording this a few days before June 9th actually, so I can get this out and get this ready to you on June 9th. But actually when I'm releasing this video, I'm going to be in the Tetons photograph and a Milky Way workshop that I teach. So I'm actually going to be testing this out there and see how this performs on some night sky images. I'm also going to be doing some more tests with it for landscape images and trying to compare it with the 7 to 14mm lens. I have a feeling, I've heard that this has a little bit less glare and reflection, especially when you're shooting towards the sun compared to the 7 to 14mm lens. So I want to try that out. So keep an eye out for another video too from me on this lens. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next video.